Hey everybody, Greg Harrelson here again, coming at you from the Level Up podcast, and I've got an exciting guest today. I probably say that, all the time when I do an introduction, and I don't mean to, overuse that expression. But with the guest today, he's one of those guys that, I enjoy the conversation because it's something that's I'm really interested in. But what I really like about this guest is that I leave energized and excited. I leave feeling good. And I think all of us need to surround ourselves with people like that, because those are the things that really inspire and motivate me and get me working on being the best version of myself. So with that being said, I want to introduce my friend and owner of a coaching company called the Top Listing Agents. That's the company. If I got that wrong, Chadi, you please tell me. But this is Chadi Bazzi or Chadi Bazzi?
Chadi Bazzi.
Chadi Bazzi. I at least I didn't say Chadi Bazzi. I did get that Chadi Bazzi right. Yeah. So, man, thank you so much, Chadi, for joining me today. I appreciate it. Could you just tell everybody real quick, maybe restate the company, your coaching company name, where you are, maybe a quick little snippet of how you got to where you are, and then let's just dive into a conversation I want to have with you.
You got it. I'll make it as fast as I possibly can. Greg, been in the industry for approximately a little bit over 20 years, directly and indirectly. I sold real estate in two different marketplaces. Indirectly, been involved in the coaching space since 1999. Got my start off when I left Detroit, Michigan, to come and train under Mike Ferry, because, I never graduated college and I wanted to get my college degree. And I figured he's that's the best university in the world, mastering, the art of selling and all that good stuff. Did very good, very quickly in the company, lasted there for about 4 years. In 2004, when Tom Ferry broke off, I went back into real estate, did very good, very quickly, did like 6 figures worth of commissions inside of my first 30 days. Because I already mastered everything. Yeah. And then, Tom Ferry took notice of that, invited me to come and coach and train for his company. I loved coaching. I fell in love with coaching. So I was like, yeah, I definitely want to do that. Got to the point in that company where I had the most in-demand one-on-one coaching schedule. Never had less than 140 one-on-one coaching clients at any given time. Worked on a lot of the, products and services underneath that umbrella. And that was about an 11-year journey. And I believe in 2009, I started Top Listing Agent and been coaching one-on-one on my own. So that's like the fast version.
Yeah, man. No, dude, that was perfect. And there's I know one of the things that I've observed about you, and I tend to tune in when you start talking about it, is the conversation that revolves around communication, right? Building trust, establishing rapport, and I think that you've got some real good dialogue on influence, right? And I think all those things kind of are packaged in that whole world of influence. But you said something to me recently. And you said one thing that you're focusing on right now. Now, I'm also thinking about all the world events that are going on and the national events that were going on, health concerns and all these different things. And this might be why it caught my attention this time, is because you said you're focusing on helping agent get into the state of feeling good. I've got to talk to you about that. So tell me, when you said that, what's that? What's the essence of that thought? What are you thinking here? And can you just share your thoughts on it?
Yeah. So I'm gonna, I'll actually even share an exercise that most likely your audience has never even heard of, to help them interrupt their state and get into a state of feeling good. But I became a fanatic about studying this when, I think it was about 15 years ago. We're accustomed to, listening to interviews of all these top agents and all those, mega producers and all that good stuff and gurus. And my dad was visiting me and I was like, my dad lived a pretty, hard, good life. Why don't I just interview him and find out what he's got to say to me? So I can take myself to the next level and get away from everything I've learned in the books and, just someone that's really done it on his own with no mentorship in his life. And he said to me, Chadi, the key to success has nothing to do with what you do. The key to success has everything to do with how you are feeling while you are doing it. And I was like, that makes so much sense. And at that time, I was already studying, NLP and the art of influence, but I was studying NLP from the realm of the realm of like, how do I get people to say yes? And then I started to, study NLP in the terms of like psychology. How do we interrupt our states and how do we get to a state of feeling good? And around that time, we were all into affirmations. I am powerful. I am fearless. I am unstoppable. But you know what, Greg? That is so short-lived. That is so short-lived because I'm willing to bet that 99% of the people that are doing affirmations, they really don't buy into the affirmations. And the reason being, and people can follow along with this, one of the things that we do, and we just did this last week with the Mind Trainer, one of the mentors for my company, is we led all these top producers into a session and we said, hey, close your eyes for a minute and say an affirmation to yourself that you totally believe and have bought into. And listen to the voice in your head. Where do you hear that voice? And everybody heard that voice in one place. So anytime somebody says something to themselves that they believe is real, they automatically hear it either here, or some people here. So for me, when I say something that I believe is true, I feel it here. When I say something to myself, like, if I say, hey, I'm a billionaire, like I don't hear that voice in the place where I believe it. If you close your eyes and follow along with this, you'll hear the things that you say to yourself that you haven't bought into in a different place in your head, in your mind. And then what I train my clients to do is move that voice from the place that they don't believe to the place that they believe. And all of a sudden that interrupts their, their state, and they begin to feel it. They begin to emotionalize it. And they buy into it, and all of a sudden, that state is interrupted. So that's one thing. Now, the second thing that we do to interrupt the state and get ourselves into a state of feeling good is anchors. We call them anchors in NLP. Okay, so it's like, what is your anchor? What is that one thing that you do? Like immediately, if you're watching this video, what I did is this. This is one of my anchors. The moment I did that, man, I become a completely different person. Another anchor for me is holding something in my hand. Almost always I got something in my hand because that's how I get my power. So what you need to do is you need to find out, either, what is the voice, how to move the voice in your head to interrupt your state, and or what is the anchor that you create for yourself to interrupt your state and put yourself in a state of flow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that would be like the fast version.
Yeah. No, I get it. We're both old Mike Ferry and, guys. And, you remember when back in the day when Mike and Tom and even Matthew, and they would say, you're Bruce Lee. Yes. We would do the karate chop, right? Still today, let's say that I'm playing tennis. Okay. And then I'm getting ready to, a point has ended, whether I lost the point or won the point. Many times today, I will get up and before I serve, I'm sitting here saying, yes. I'm saying that now. I don't say it and fist pump like I did, in when we're in the group. But I probably, if you were to have a camera on me, I bet you, as I said yes, you could pick up that there was some movement in my right arm, right, and whatnot. And I think that's what you're referring to as an anchor, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
So tell me, I'm okay with going a little bit deeper on the call. I know that this is not going to be, hey, let me tell you the best script for an expired. Right. That's not going to be today's conversation. This is about communication. But I want to just understand it a little bit. Maybe I'm being a little selfish here. What's really happening when I'm doing that? So when I say yes, would you call that a reset? Would you call that a refocus? What are we really doing there?
Some people call it a pattern interrupt, but it's a behavior interrupt. Mm-hmm. So basically what you're doing is you're look, there's so much going on in the back of your mind that you could never keep up with it. All you're doing is it's like switching pages. It's like, if that's exactly, it's like you're clicking the stop button on one thing and the start button on one thing. It's turning the car on, going from off to on. It's going from first gear to second gear, etc. So
Yeah.
that's what you're doing. And there's more to it than just that. It's not just one thing that works all things. Okay. This is just one thing of, a couple of different things. And the thing is, don't expect to do it one time and have it work for you. This is something that you got to do for, it's got to become like a part of who you are. I mean, consistency is everything. Nothing that you do every once in a while is going to get you to where you want to go. But I'll tell you, Greg, this is one of the bigger things, the voice thing, because that's part of like your visualization every single morning. Just, taking the voice from a place in your mind where you lack the belief to a place in your mind to where you have the belief. That by itself could be the one thing that can quantum leap someone's business. Because a mentor of mine told me a long time ago, the difference between an average person and a mega producer is that the average person believes they are average, therefore they act accordingly. The mega producer believes that he or she is a mega producer, therefore they act accordingly. So the key word is the belief. The actions that you are taking are dictated by your belief system. So we're working on that belief system by taking your voice to a place where you believe every single day.
So let me throw this one out at you, because I know in coaching that you've got to deal with this. Let's go into becoming a listing agent and generating listings. There's probably some strategies that we would suggest, obviously, to do some form of prospecting. But there's people out there, and I remember I could tell you I was one of them, but I didn't really have much of a problem with it. I remember being a kid and being at home and eating dinner at the dinner table and us getting a prospecting call. And my dad just like flew off the handle and said to me, after he got off the call or whatever he did, I don't recall, but I remember him saying this to me. You know what? Those people shouldn't call people like that, and I don't even like salespeople. They're just no good. Now, as a young kid, I heard that, right? And so I can't help to believe that influenced some of my beliefs. Now, I was able to continue to build a career, and I'm proud to be able to say I am a salesperson, and I feel like I'm a darn good salesperson. But I think that there's so many people right now that have so much talent that they view or perceive maybe making some calls to try to get listings. They don't believe it's not for them. They don't believe they can do it. That's not them. How do what's that dialogue? How do we take somebody that has kind of a little bit negative perception or belief on it and help them, improve their perception of that, therefore they get into action? I hope I unpacked that question properly. I think
100%, Greg. Totally understand that, because, we just got done dealing with that with, one of our clients just a couple of weeks ago. And it's the same exact process that, I shared with you earlier. So what we do is we do we do a lot of hypnotherapy as well. Some of our clients need to be, hypnotized, and, we need to take them through, a timeline and rewire and rewrite the story and reprogram their mind. So, a lot of times, somebody has encountered that one thing from their mom or their dad or their cousin or an agent or, a bad client on the other end of the line, and they give it a big meaning, and they hear that voice in the back of their mind without them even knowing that they hear that voice. Now, that voice usually in the back of their mind, if they really pay attention to it, it's a very loud voice. And if they picture that person that said it, they picture that person to be a larger person than they really are in their mind. So what we do is we help them move that voice around in their head, calm down the voice, make it softer, so they hear it in a softer tone. And then what we do is we take that larger the life size of the person that gave them that belief system, and we shrink that person. And all of a sudden, almost instantly, that fear, or that, whatever you want to call it, obstacle, challenge, etc., totally disappears. So
Yeah.
it's all about like reprogramming your mind. So, some people, they're ready for such a conversation, and those are the people that walk away with the results. And some people are not ready for that conversation, and they never have that conversation. They never get that therapy, and they have to, deal with the consequences for the remainder of their career. So
Yeah.
look, 99% of the time, it's just a story that somebody made up in their mind that they bought into. And all we got to do is just rewrite the story.
Yeah. I want to share some a conversation that I have with people sometimes as I'm helping my agents. And, it's what's interesting. And Mike said this one time to me, or he said it on stage. I have to be in there. And he said it many times, where you get one person looking at another person and they say, gosh, that person's really a jerk. But the person that's the jerk, so-called the jerk, there's other people in that person's life that don't see them as a jerk. Is it a truth? Is it a fact that that person's a jerk, or is that person, does that person only show up as a jerk when you're in their presence, right? That's a really interesting concept. Like, are they only a jerk around me? And then what does that say about me? The other thought is that I kind of, when it comes to an activity and somebody saying, let's just say prospecting, you look at that as an activity and somebody says, you know what, gosh, I don't really want to do that. And I tell this story and I said, it's not that you really want it, the story that you're telling about the activity determines whether you do the activity or don't do the activity, or if you do it well or don't do it well. And to illustrate this, I say this. I said, Chadi, if I was to call 5 friends and I said, hey guys, can you please come over to my house on Saturday at 7 in the morning? I need to dig a ditch that's 25 feet long, and I need to go 4 feet deep and 4 feet wide. Can you guys come help me? I'm having some irrigation issues. I'm telling you, there's none of my friends would come over. They would be like, what's wrong with you? Why are you digging this ditch? Do you have no money? I'll give you money. Hire somebody to dig the ditch. Have somebody come bring the tractor to dig the ditch. This is the dialogue that they would have. But if I changed the context just a little bit, the narrative just a little bit, I said, hey guys, I need you to come over and help me dig a ditch. I need you to come join me. We're going to have to fly to Africa and we're going to have to dig a ditch. And it's going to be 25 feet long, 4 feet deep, 4 feet wide. And when we finish digging this ditch, we're going to connect a water source to this tribe, and we're probably going to save around 150 children's lives every single year. Every one of my friends would be like, when are we going? So if you think about it, the doing is the same. It's the same 25 feet, the same 4 feet deep, the same 4 feet wide. What changed? It was the perception of the doing. It was how they were going to feel when they were doing that activity. It was who was it going to impact. So my thought is like, how when it comes to generating listings, prospecting, or whatever form, whenever we can take the emphasis off of the activity, the work that I have to do, and you actually put the focus back on to who is going to benefit from the work that I have to do, that's one way to actually start feeling better, change the perception of your doing, which then gets you in action. I think Matthew Ferry called it inspired action, what he used to call it. Any thoughts on that, or are you any comments on that?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, there's 2 things, in selling in the art of influence, basically the thing that we're trying to do to other people is trigger an emotion, because, we're not selling the end result. The end result could be, hey, your home sold, or the end result is you buy a home. We're selling the emotion. We're selling the feeling. But one of the things that we also forget as human beings is that we also need to be sold on the feeling and the emotion. And rather than wait for someone to just show up and sell you on that emotion, you need to sell yourself on that emotion each and every single day. So basically what you did is you just communicated. It's the same end result, the same exact labor. All you did was, shift and alter your way of communication that created the result. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And most people, what they do, you know, Greg, is everybody wants to study, like, how do I get leads? You know, how do I pick up the phone? How do I dial more numbers in less time? How do I follow up faster? This is all good stuff. And I teach my clients how to do all that stuff. But the biggest thing that we focus on more than anything else is how do I get people to feel good in my presence? And the way you do that is through the words you use. So what do we study? We're studying words. We're studying which words trigger which emotions, which tonality, how to communicate the word to trigger a specific emotion. Because if I can get you to feel good in my presence, your guards disappear. You open up. You start telling me certain things that perhaps I don't even want to know, but knowing it is what takes this conversation to, I like this guy.
Do you have a few go-to strategies that you can share?
Like in regards to, you know, how do we get someone on the phone to immediately feel good?
Yeah, in a way. Like if you were calling me with, you know, and I'm like, oh, look, I've already had other agents call. I'm not really going to list it again. I don't want to sell it now. You know, like what are some things to do? Like, does it start with the first call on if somebody says hello, then, you know, are we already mirroring and matching from there? You know, just the things that we can do, things like that.
All right. So we'll say two things. Okay. So number one, okay, is, you know, it's easy for people like you and I to say it's common sense because we've already mastered it. And a lot of people like take a look at it and say this stuff doesn't work. Like building rapport around, like, you know, mimicking rate of speech, mimicking tonality, you know, body language, you know, energy levels, etc. You got to become a master at that. You got to practice that. In my NLP training, Greg, I recorded a 40-minute video on how to do this. And it's a requirement for every single person that goes through the course to watch that video every single week for 12 weeks.
Wow.
Because it takes 90 days. So that's one thing. Now, the second thing is, it's like, you know, how do you separate yourself from every single person that's calling on these expires and saying the same exact thing when they say, hey, you're the 50th person to call, like, I don't want to sell and stuff like that. It's being able to, you got to be very quick. You got to be very clever. You got to be very alert. You can't think about what is going to come out of your mouth. You just got to say something totally unique and totally different. Like in a scenario where you said, hey, we've already decided, you know, that, you know, we don't want to sell the house, etc. You know, for me, the first thing that comes to my mind, I say, that's exactly why I'm calling you. I kind of figured that you are someone who's sick and tired of the process and don't want to sell their home anymore. So I'm just calling to find out, what were you planning? And I'm just right back on script, Greg. That's it.
Yeah.
That's
and
it.
what I heard you do is I heard you you repeated one of the things they said, and you did it in a way that you felt, you didn't make me feel like you approved in a way, like you
100%.
accepted where I was. You met me where I was at that moment.
Right. Right. And you know, going above and beyond that, you know, there's other basics that, you know, we got to buy into. And, you know, one of the things is, look, not everybody is going to do business with you. The majority of the people are not going to do business with you. You know, you can't be attached to the outcome, but there's one thing you should be attached to every single day. And that's just creating one good connection every single day and collecting those connections every single day. If you just generate no appointments for the next 20 days, but you generate 20 good connections, those 20 good connections could lead to your next 100 transactions over the course of the next 3, 4, 5 years. So that's all we're doing.
That's big. That is big. So if you didn't set an appointment for the next 20 days, but you made one good, great connection every day for the next 20 days, those 20 connections could be 100 deals in the future.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Greg, look, you've been in the industry long enough to know that there's people that, you know, you build a relationship with that don't need your services whatsoever, but they connect you to the people that need your services. And I'm playing the game long-term. I'm not playing the game for the next 30 days. I'm playing this game for the next, you know, 3, 10, 15, 20 years. So it's a long-term process. I'd rather pay the price right now and live a life of abundance later on. Abundance ain't going to show up in 24 hours.
Yeah. Yeah, that's powerful, man. That's very powerful. So, you know, we're dealing with a lot of things right now in the world, in our country. We got health concerns, this COVID-19 thing going on and whatnot. You know, I feel like making connections probably has more value than ever right now, because a lot of people are close to home. They're not going out and being as social, as they are. So I think connection is becoming more valuable than ever. But I also know that there's a lot of, consumers out there that are saying, hey, I'm not really going to move forward and put my property on the market and whatnot. And it's throwing the real estate agents, kind of for a loop. What are some things that you can think, whether it's communication or just anything off the top of your head because you're a coaching company, what other things or anything that you can share with my audience to just help them maybe adapt or adjust to the current events that are going on and stay motivated to keep moving forward? Because I think what's happening is people are defaulting to doing nothing. And I don't think that that's necessarily the right move. I think we need to stay active, but we also need to meet people where they are and be sensitive to wherever the consumer is right now. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah. So, look, everything that you talked about and just about anything and everything that the consumer is saying to us is valid to a specific degree. Okay. And at the end of the day, should we be empathetic? Some people need empathy. Yes. Should we be, pushing people out of their comfort zone and educating them and bringing them to reality? Some people need that. So this is where, when you study, human behavior and psychology, the psychology of selling, you will instantly know which route to take that person and you take them through that route. So at the end of the day, and I'm going to give you two examples, we have a job to do no matter what. Okay. And, our job is not just to sell property. Our job is to solve the problem for the consumer and help some consumers reach their goal at a higher level. I got two people that I can think of right now during this whole entire COVID-19 thing that's going on. One guy, his name is Dennis, 3 years in the business. And, when this whole entire COVID-19, came about, he's like, oh, okay, more people at home right now. I get that, more people are going to say no. I got to do a little bit more, contacts, but that's okay because I'm not driving to appointments anymore. Third year in the business, his goal is $500,000. Mm-hmm. We just did, half year review. Already $259,000 in. He's definitely on track. Another person, March 19, calls me up, single mom of two, freaking out like, oh my God, the whole world, what am I going to do? I just want to make $100,000 this year so I can buy a home for my kids. And, I only made $10,000 so far. And it was like the end of the world. All we did was just reframe her mind, keep her focused, and doesn't even want to pick up the phone and make phone calls. I said, how about instead of making, 20 calls a day, how about you send out 20 text messages a day? Greg, in the last 90 days, she did more money than she wanted to do all year long. So here's the bottom line. Accept reality for what it is. Accept reality for what it is. Be empathetic, for the people that need the empathy. Be the push for the people that need the push, okay? And do your job every single day, no matter what, and you will reach your destination. So you could either use what the world gave us as an excuse, or we could use it as an opportunity. And, you and I both know people that are just dominating right now.
Yeah, man, Chadi, that was it, man. That was the money ball. That was good, man. Well, hey, as I said, I wanted to keep this around that 30-minute, and I think this is just the perfect time because that was just such a golden, nugget right there. Hey, so again, your company is, it's Top Listing Agent, right? Is it toplistingagent.com?
No, not .com.
Okay.
So best place to go, Greg, is listingondemand.com. That's where we have free training, etc. So toplistingagent.com would be a good place to go. And, just connect with me on Facebook, Chadi Bazzi, CHADIBAZZI. And we have a ton of free resources, podcast, etc. for just like you, ton of free resources for
And what's your podcast name? Is it, because I do recommend that, for those that are listening to us on Level Up, I think you should also listen to Chadi's also. What is your podcast name? Is it just Chadi Bazzi?
Top Listing Agent Show. So the podcast is Top Listing Agent Show. And we got, I don't know, about 100 hours worth of podcasts on there at least.
Good. Well, man, I appreciate it as always. I love collaborating with you, and just I can go and talk. I can forget that we're even doing a podcast and just keep talking about this stuff, for hours. So thank you for the content that you push out. And for anybody that wants to dive a little bit deeper into communication and you know, in how to you know, develop or create more influence, you know, within your business, you need to check them out. So I'm sure we'll do this again, and I sure do appreciate it. And let me know if I can ever do anything for you. Okay.
Thank you, brother. I
All right.
appreciate you,
All
man.
right.
Thank you.
Bye bye.